The goal of Introduction to Floor Tiling is to understand the steps to successfully laying flooring tile in an interior room of a house. We will discuss safety, room preparation, sizing the job, tools used, definitions, laying and finishing the tile, and cleanup. For this training, we are laying 12 by 24 inch porcelain tile in a 7 by 11 foot room. Before starting work, make sure you have all the necessary protective equipment. Proper ventilation is important to keep the work area safe. Avoid prolonged skin contact. Wearing long clothing and gloves is recommended. Wear safety glasses to avoid eye damage. If debris enters your eye, flush the area with cool, clean water and seek medical attention. Masks or respirators are recommended when mixing powder thinset. The basic materials you will need to complete this training project include tile, thinset, a leveling system or spacers, and grout. Before purchasing materials, make sure you know the size of the room you are working in. To determine the number of square feet of a room, multiply the length by the width of the room. It is recommended to add 10% extra material for breakage and waste. Ceramic and porcelain are the most popular options for floor tile. Both types are great, but porcelain is known for its all-around higher durability. Tile cartons list the number of square feet they will cover. Each type of tile is different, so make sure to check. Divide the square feet of the room by the square feet of coverage of a carton of tile to determine how many cartons to purchase. Thinset, or thinset mortar, is an adhesive made of cement, sand, and a water-retaining agent, and a latex or polymer additive. Thinsets come in two styles: modified and unmodified. Modified can be used for many types of applications, like plywood floors, wet areas like showers, and large format tile installations. It has additives for extra strength, flexibility, and bonding. Unmodified thinset should only be used on cement backer board, in dry areas, and with smaller tiles. The number of square feet thinset will cover is determined by the type of tile you will be laying. For large tiles, use a specialty notch trowel, like a Euro, lay flat, or sawtooth trowel. A 50-pound bag of thinset will roughly cover 50 square feet for this kind of installation. Smaller format tile jobs, using a 1/4 inch square notch trowel, a 50-pound bag covers roughly 70 square feet. On this particular job, our 77 square feet of large format tile will require two 50-pound bags of thinset. A tile leveling system is a must-have when laying a tile floor. Spacer bases make sure the grout stays consistent across the entire floor. The wedges are used to help eliminate lippage or unevenness between tiles. Spacer bases for these systems are not reusable, but wedges can be saved and used again. For this training, we are using 1/8 inch spacer bases. Typically, you will need 6 spacer bases and wedges per square foot. Our project is 77 square feet. Multiplied by 6 means we will need roughly 462 spacer bases and wedges. For the first job, you will need an equal number of spacer bases and wedges depending on the style of system you use. The wedges are reusable, so you can plan future jobs accordingly. To finish a tile job, grout is used to fill in the joints between tiles. Generally, it is made of cement and sand or other aggregate and water. There are 4 basic types of grout: acrylic, sanded, unsanded, and epoxy. Acrylic grout is the most DIY-friendly grout and is pre-mixed, and can be used in wet and high-traffic areas. It is stain-resistant and does not require sealing. Sanded grout has sand particles mixed in that provide strength and durability. It is used on joints 1/8 of an inch wide and larger, and is not recommended for glass tiles. For 1/8 inch wide joints and narrower, use unsanded grout. Since it does not contain sand, it's ideal for glass or natural stone tiles. Epoxy grout can be used for wet and high traffic locations, but it is the most difficult to work with. The epoxy resins and hardeners also make it chemical resistant. This type of grout is recommended for professional use. The amount of grout needed varies depending on tile size, grout joint width, and tile thickness. Most grout manufacturers have a grout calculator online or on the back of the bag. Tiling a floor requires only a few basic tools: a notched trowel, tape measure, buckets, grout float, margin trowel, tile cutter, spacers and wedges, a scraper, pry bar, and a drill-type mixer. When buying a notch trowel, choosing the correct notch size and style for the type of job you are completing is important. Smaller notch patterns, like 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch square, are used for smaller 3 by 6 inch subway tiles. Large format tiles, defined as tiles with one side over 23 inches, require trowels with specialty shapes and larger notches. Since we are laying large format tile, 12 inch by 24 inch, we've chosen a specialty notched trowel with a 1/2 inch sawtooth pattern. To prepare the area for new tile, remove the old flooring down to the subfloor. The baseboard trim will also need to be removed. The subfloor should be a clean and flat surface to start your new floor on. Use scrapers and pry bars to strip away any adhesive, thinset, or glue residue. Place a long level or straight edge in various areas and directions across the floor. Any rocking will confirm the high spots, while gaps indicate low spots. Small dips can be spot patched with a floor patching product that bonds to concrete or plywood. High spots can be sanded or ground down. In severe cases, the entire subfloor can be leveled with a self-leveling compound. Creating a dry fit layout is also part of the preparation. A symmetrical layout with equal cuts at each end is ideal, but a perfectly balanced layout may not be feasible. Find the center of the room by first measuring and marking the center of the walls. Pull a chalk line off those marks to meet in the center of the room. Dry fit the tiles from wall to wall, starting at the center line. Adjust the tiles as needed until they will be roughly equal cuts to the tiles on each end. The tile shape will also dictate how to lay out the rows. We recommend a square or rectangular tile is used for the first job to keep the layout simple. With an understanding of the tile layout, plan a way to work out of the room. Never backtrack over newly laid tile. If you're not laying the same tile throughout the entire house, flooring transitions will be needed between rooms. Transitions help to tie two types of flooring or designs together with a finished look. Now you can start laying your tile. Begin by spreading a layer of thinset on the subfloor. Only spread as much thinset as you can lay tile in a 5-minute time window. Any longer than 5 minutes will lead to your thinset starting to skim over and lose tackiness. Keep your trowel at a 45-degree angle, with only the edge of the blade spreading the thinset. It is recommended to back butter each tile before laying them. Back buttering, or keying, is applying thinset to the back of each tile with the flat side of the trowel before setting them. This helps achieve more adhesion and coverage for the best durability. 80% coverage is needed for dry areas, which would be most rooms in a house. Wet areas, exteriors, and natural stone projects require 95% thinset coverage. Place your tile in the thinset and press down, moving it side to side to collapse the notch trowel ridges in the thinset. This fills the gaps, giving you the best coverage. Slide spacers under each side of the tile that will be against another tile. Each spacer should be about 2 to 3 inches away from the corner or intersection with another tile. A manual tile cutter may be all you need for most flooring tile jobs. Straight cuts can be made quickly and dust-free. For angled or irregular cuts on natural stone or porcelain, a wet saw is recommended. A diamond blade on an angle grinder is also an option. When making cuts with a grinder and blade, begin with end cuts. This prevents shear off when cutting the length. A diamond hole saw would be used for circular cuts around pipes or fixtures. The general drying time for thinset mortar used in tile installation is 24 hours. This may be affected by environmental conditions, substrate types, tile material, and the thickness of the thinset. To ensure proper drying, follow manufacturer guidelines before you walk on it and begin grouting. Before grouting, check the joints to make sure there isn't an abundance of thinset in them. This is the time to cut excess from the joint before it cures too hard. Clean off the dust and debris and strike off the excess with a damp grout scrubbing pad. The goal is to have a 3 mm deep joint for the grout. With a grout float, start spreading grout across and into the joints. Wipe across the joints and tile a few times in half circles, filling the joints completely. Don't worry about it getting on the face of the tiles, as your cleaning steps will remove it. Once all the joints are filled, start over with a damp sponge at a 45-degree angle from the grout joints, lightly removing the excess grout from the tile faces. Be careful not to dig into the joints. This is meant to level the grout and start cleaning the tiles. If you find some of the joints haven't filled, you can add grout to those areas and wipe with a damp sponge. With a clean, damp sponge, start the cleaning process over again, wringing it out often. A fourth clean and rinse is suggested to remove grout haze from the tiles. Refer to the grout manufacturer's recommendations on dry time, as it can vary anywhere from 4 to 24 hours before foot traffic. Installing tile can seem intimidating, but isn't as hard as it looks. With good surface prep, dry fitting, and patience, you can install a great-looking floor.